Hello, you probably heard the expression Baluk Bashtan Koka. The fish smells from the head. It's a Turkish expression. It goes all the way back to Rumi in 1273 and the third book of Masnavi. Though we in the West probably know it because it was first introduced into the West in a Latin translation from Greek by Eusebius, I think. Erasmus, not Eusebius, how silly of me. Erasmus, who wrote in Greek in the 16th century. Erasmus was a friend of Thomas More, and his translation was Piscus primum a capite fitet. The fish first starts smelling from the head. Of course, it's not strictly true. When a fish disintegrates, the bit which starts smelling, as you would know, is the gut. Fish are very much like other living sentient animals. They start smelling in the lower regions first. Some people start smelling in the lower regions before they die. But the Greek expression, I think, is charming, and it was introduced to me as a specifically Greek proverb when I lived in Greece, when I was looking after goats many, many years ago. Իχθὺς κεφαλῆς 仰ειν άρχεται. The fish from the head first starts to stink. I think this is a proverb that we should really be taking to heart at the moment because of all the goings on. I was going to say the comings and goings, but that would be an inappropriate thing to say at the moment in number 10 or in the Foreign Office. We know that there's a denial that's gone out, such a denial that in fact somebody has suggested it must be true, that nothing happened on the sofa. At least nothing happened on the sofa that somebody walked in and saw. There was an entirely different event that people witnessed over a bottle of wine. Well, that may be true, but there is such a catalogue of sleaze coming out of this government, and it all seems to be presided over by the master of sleaze, Boris. I mean, you could say one swallow does not a summer make, but this hasn't been one swallow. This has been multiple gulps. It's been a bucket load of filth. And it starts, does it start? It probably started even before that. We've got the COVID, the COVID contracts. We've got Matt Hancock in the stationery cupboard with Gina Coladangelo. Ooh, can I see your pencil? And we've got, it's the stuff of satire, isn't it? We've got those people beginning with P, Pincher and Parish. Parish occupying himself in the House of Commons, and Pincher occupying himself and others in the Whip's office and in the Carlton Club. And who sets the agenda? Agenda is a plural word, of course. Who sets the agenda for all this sleaze? Or who tolerates it? Under whose umbrella does it occur? Boris. You cannot imagine this happening under Mrs. Thatcher. You cannot imagine this happening under Mrs. Thatcher, can you? It happened under John Major. John Major, of course, as you will recall, had his moment with sleaze and was very frustrated by the sleaze. But it emerged later that he was carrying on with Edwina Currie. So whether people know about it or whether people don't know about it, there is a tone that is set. John Major was busy, rumbling around in the egg basket with Edwina on their make-believe farm. Boris is busy finding new wallpaper patterns. Whatever the sordid reality that lies behind this, whatever initiative is actually given, there's a subliminal approval that sleaze will be tolerated. And I think it's not right. I think sleaze is simply the icing on the cake. Sleaze is what you see. And underneath that icing is a cake that is crawling with maggots and filth. And we need to, I'm not saying we need to pull the plug, because I think that's rather dangerous. You can't just reset a government. We need to persuade the master of sleaze to do something good for the nation. And he needs to appoint people from the backbenches into his cabinet, and he needs to get rid of the limp yes people who have surrounded him like acolytes around Monsignor. And it's time for them to go. And it's time for Boris to be challenged and to be held to account by his own people. That is their job. And so far, I'm afraid Keir Starmer has not held Boris to account sufficiently to stop this torrent, to stop this flood, to stop this flock of filth. Somebody needs to stop it, and I think the press has been sufficiently gagged that they can't seem to move forward either. So Boris needs to take the initiative. It's down to Boris to do the right thing. That's not resign, because a Boris resignation would, I'm afraid, see a contest between people like Liz Truss and Priti Patel, and that is a fate I wouldn't wish on anyone. The bully versus the dunce. I don't know which is which. We need somebody with a clean slate. We need somebody who is not enmired in either stupidity or corruption. And somebody who has that shadow of bullying over them should never have high office. Never, whether that's in a parliament, whether it's in a government, whether it's in a school, whether it's in a building site. Bullies, we need to say no to bullies. That's our top priority, I think.